I want some steak, but I don't want to have to pay for my steak, so I want you to buy my steak. And if you don't give me the money for my steak, I'm going to rob you, even if I have to rob you legally. Because by denying me money for the steak, even though you don't owe me any money anyways, you're waging war against me because you're denying me access to the steak. I've been hearing a lot of talk about this war on women, and that's basically what it equates to. This war on women is simply there's a lot of women that want contraception and they want abortion, but they want you to pay for it. This is kind of like I'm reminded when I hear people that support abortions. I hear them say that, well, since you're anti-abortion, are you gonna take care of the children that aren't aborted? Well, since you're so in favor of abortion, are you going to pay for the abortion? You see, it's also very insulting to me that they sit there and call this a war. They call this a war when every single day there are men that risk life and limb and are killed in actual war. And I understand that even though wars benefit the elites, they don't really benefit us. It's still a big sacrifice to make. It's a much bigger sacrifice than what these women are calling a war on women. And quite frankly, we're told that these men, fight to defend and protect our freedoms when they're over there fighting or they're somewhere fighting every day, and yet our freedoms and liberties are being stripped further and further from us each and every day. But instead of focusing on these significant issues like that, we're distracted with a smoke screen, a war on women, and it's ridiculous to me. And what also irritates me about this is the fact that this slut shaming campaign ties in directly with this war on women. When I think about this slut shaming campaign, they say that you shouldn't call a woman a slut when she is promiscuous, when she acts a certain way, or when she carries herself a certain way, dresses a certain way. You know, that would be all fine and dandy, I guess, but isn't that kind of what a slut is? Actually, when you think about it, we actually call men perverts, dogs, and pigs for complementary reasons, or similar reasons for the reasons that we call women a slut. And for that matter, we shame far better individuals in the society than those that are called sluts. For instance, why do we call fathers deadbeat dads? Because of the assumption that these men abandon their responsibilities. You see, we ignore the fact that there are men that fight tooth and nail in the anti-family court systems against the mother of their children who deny them access, along with an anti-family court system that enables them to do so. You see, we call these men deadbeat dads without even looking further into their situations. We look at a situation where there's a woman that is promiscuous and sleeps around with different men, and she gets pregnant and she plays pin the tail on a donkey with her child's paternity, and or eating meeny miny mo, and picks a random guy or picks a guy that she cheated on or whatever as the father of her child, not knowing who the father of her child is, or knowing that the guy that she says is the father of her child is not the father of her child. And instead of shaming these women as sluts, we shame these men for not wanting to take responsibility for a child that doesn't belong to them, that this woman got with another man. And we even have these slogans, any boy can have a baby, but it takes a real man to be a father. But why should any man be responsible for someone else's child? I mean, if we switched babies at birth, I think we would be a lot more sympathetic to mothers who find out that their child isn't their child than we are towards fathers that find out that they're raising another man's child. And then to make matters worse, they have to pay for the privilege. Okay? We live in a society where if you're falsely accused of rape by a woman, her identity is protected, but your identity is made public. Your reputation is ruined, and since it's a felony, if it's on your public record, you're gonna have a hard time getting a job. Plus, you're gonna go to jail, and that's a lot worse than being just shamed. That goes along with the fact that you're shamed for being a rapist. You're shamed for a rape that never took place. And once again, the person that tormented you, that knows that you didn't rape them, the woman that knows that she's lying because of rape shield laws, when no rape has taken place to begin with, protects her identity but doesn't protect a man's identity. We live in a society where if a man is falsely accused of abuse or domestic violence, that he's shamed for it. We live in a society where if a man is in a mutually violent situation where the female is the initiator of the violence and he only acts in self-defense, if he only acts in self-defense, we're told that he's still wrong. And even though the female is guilty for conduct that we would condemn if a man were doing it. For simply speaking the truth, we live in a society where if you're a man or a woman, if you simply speak the truth on these issues, then you will be shamed. So I'm sorry if I don't feel sorry for these females, or I fail to sympathize for these females that are deemed sluts when they really are truly sluts. I'm not talking about just women, I'm talking about sluts in particular. I mean, boo hoo. I really don't feel sorry for you when we live in a society where individuals that are much better than a slut are treated much worse than a slut. And in the words of the late great Owen Hart, enough is enough and it's time for a change. And I really honestly believe that. I know that the context was different, but the sentiments are true anyways. But if we want this change to happen, we can't look to politicians for it because they don't work for you and they don't work for me. Okay, the politicians don't work for us. We can't look to women because the majority of the women aren't going to go against the grain. They're not going to act against their own short-term best interests. We have to look to ourselves and we have to figure out the best solution for ourselves. And once we do this, then everything else will fall in place. So until next time, take care and have a good day.